Hi, I'm Jon.
And I'm Eli.
And you're watching Screen Obscura.
And today we're going to be talking about Sam Raimi's new horror, romance, comedy, horror film, Send Help.
Yeah, it's starring Dylan O'Brien and Rachel McAdams.
Yeah.
We saw the trailer in theaters when we went to see Silent Hill. I was really excited to see it because it was Sam Raimi. I'm a huge Sam Raimi fan. Evil Dead is one of my favorite horror movie franchises. Arguably my favorite. What about you? When you saw the trailer, what did you think?
Can I be real? When I saw the trailer, it looked stupid to me. It looked very, very stupid. It looked very... It was very literal. It was very literal. It's like, horrible office bullying dynamic with like a shit boss and like a underpaid, underappreciated, under-awarded freaking staff, whatever. And then...
Right, unrecognized.
Yes, that's the word. And they get stranded on an island, and then she's like, haha, it's game time, bitch, and we flip the tables.
Right, so... Because it's a Sam Raimi movie, I was really excited to see it. I convinced Eli to come along, even though he was kind of like, he had his reservations about it. We saw some early reviews. So I was like, okay, it seemed like it got decent enough reviews. It's probably worth seeing. That convinced him enough to go see it anyway.
No, what convinced me was the fact that I said, hey, your birthday just passed. And what do you want to do? And he was like, let's go watch this movie. And I was like, okay.
I didn't beg you. It was Sam Raimi. One of your favorite movies is Drag Me to Hell. One of your favorite movies is Drag Me to Hell.
Stop! So don't get me wrong. I do love Drag Me to Hell. And you love your little Evil Dead.
And Spider-Man.
Okay.
I do love my Spider-Man movies. I grew up with those.
But to be fair, you love him. You love him. I'm very much like
his sense of humor is definitely acquired. I thought there was going to be a whole lot more Sam Raimi in this movie. Ultimately, it felt kind of safe. I like the movie for what it is. I wanted more of the Sam Raimi that I was expecting. And there's definitely some sequences of, the gore and the over-the-top violence that you expect from Sam Raimi, and even some of his humor too, which a lot of it actually did work when he was there. The problem is, it's like, I feel like only 20% of the movie is Sam Raimi. Maybe 30.
Arguably, yeah, I do agree with you. I feel like if you didn't know he directed it, you wouldn't think he directed it. It reminded me a lot of kind of Heart Eyes, directed by Josh Rubin. In the sense of it's comical and it's absurd.
Yeah.
And it's modern, but it has cliches and makes notes of older film style and older film cliches and references. I don't know, it was really... It seemed very writer's board, like brainstorm cloud. It seemed like kind of like a show where it's like the first season, the writers know exactly what they're doing.
Yes.
And then after the second or third season, they're kind of just like, well, this was working. Let's just kind of keep rolling with it.
Yeah.
And I didn't really know where it was going.
I'm very torn on this movie in general.
The trailer is extremely straightforward. It sets the foundation for exactly what the movie's about. Underrecognized office staff and a horrible, shitty younger boss who bullies the shit out of her, Rachel McAdams and Dylan O'Brien. They go on a business trip and the plane crashes. They land on an island. They're the only two people that survive, and they're the only people left, and they have to fend for themselves. So already, the premise is nothing great. The premise is kind of very much. It was something that I feel like anyone could have came up with.
Yeah. We've seen that like Castaway kind of deal before. People stranded on an island, Lord of the Flies, that kind of stuff. What's the Brooke Shields movie from the 80s?
Blue Lagoon?
That's it, that one?
Yeah.
Yeah, fucking that shit. This is basically Blue Lagoon, a little bit more violent. And there weren't kids. The female lead in this movie has all the survival instincts, and she's read all these books, and she's read up on survival. She's watching Survivor all the time. So she's the one with the know-how and the knowledge in this environment. So that's what makes the dynamic interesting between her and her boss, and they clash on the island. Not as much as I wanted them to, though. It didn't really take any risks, and when it was kind of going in that direction, it just kind of like, nah, let's just do this. If I had to guess, there was studio interference in this, or it's kind of just like, no, make it like a Blumhouse movie.
Considering it was a high budget, and considering it had like Danny Elfman doing the music score, it was directed by Sam Raimi. Rachel McAdams is obviously a well-known actress. Dylan O'Brien, he's great as well. I feel like it had all the pieces to be something great, and instead it reminded me of that what is that Blumhouse film, the Island one, Fantasy Island. It reminded me a lot of kind of this cool concept of everyone stranded together, but then it was like, what are we watching?
The second act was very fucking slow. It had its moments, you know, it was entertaining enough, and then the third act, without spoiling anything yet, disappointed me ultimately. But again, set up interesting areas it could go. It just didn't push it. It didn't push it where it felt like it could. Now, the acting was great. I really like both Rachel McAdams and Dylan O'Brien were fantastic in this movie. The directing was great. The CGI was a little rough in some areas. It was over the top, like gruesome, violent, typical of Sam Raimi. But there was some sequences where the blood was like, okay, that's extremely fake. It felt like Final Destination CGI.
Yeah. It starts off in a direction where you're kind of misled a tiny bit. It's like you're like, oh, this isn't really what I was expecting. It is more much more comedic than I thought. And then that turns obviously into more of like the dark humor and like the dark fantasy aspect of being stranded on the island, whatever. It's like they tried incorporating both.
Yeah.
But then they also wanted to have another side quest. I don't know. It was shit love.
Man, when the Sam Raimi stuff happened, it was so entertaining. It was so fun. It was funny. It was gory. It was violent. Those sequences, which were too far between each other, I just wish there was way more. It was a 2-hour movie. It was quite long for what it was. I felt like 20 minutes of it could have been cut out easily.
I agree.
Yeah. And you could have added more. Oh man, there's so many sequences where I was like, okay, we're gonna do something interesting here, and then it pulls back, and I'm like, bro, why? I think there's gonna be a director's cut of this movie. I don't know if it was 14A in Ontario, Canada, anyway. I don't know if it was 14A or rated 18A, but yeah, it was very diluted.
Perfect wording. It was very diluted for something that was supposed to be psychologically thrilling.
Yes.
And that was supposed to continue to pace up as the story progressed. I felt like it was like neutral, went down, went a little bit up, went a little bit down, kind of neutral. It was not consistently compelling, I would say.
Yes.
I felt like I kind of wanted it to end. I'm gonna be honest. I was like, where is this gonna go? Like, how there are 2 people on a fucking island. How long is this gonna go on for? And it's not like a the Lighthouse, Willem Dafoe, Robert Pattinson aspect of like they're going crazy, cabin fever.
Yeah.
This is very much like one of them wants to go home and the other one doesn't.
Yeah. You get hints of the cabin fever or like stranded in wilderness sort of delirium. But again, it just kind of pulls it back. And so I'm torn. I'm just torn. As far as rating goes, it was a well-made enough movie, but it was just really cliche. Out of 5, I'll give it a 3. 3 out of 5.
I was gonna say 3 as well. I feel like, genuinely, I can't say it's bad. It's not a bad movie. It's just nothing innovative. It's nothing special. Yeah. It's nothing entertaining enough for me to want to watch again or even tell people to watch. It's one of those things. It's like, I genuinely feel like it could have just been like a Prime or a Netflix original random movie. Like it had nothing, no merit points in terms of the theatrics, in my opinion. You keep calling it safe, and that was like that's like the perfect word to describe it. It's something that anyone could have made, and people will like. Not everyone's gonna hate.
Yeah.
I don't know. I will say though, the trailer and the marketing behind it, it was pushing for that narrative of more intense survival mode. Like the trailer really was stirring up a pot of like a heated rivalry. I don't know. I feel like it was very on the nose, and it was very just neutral. Like it was a very neutral vibe.
I agree. I didn't think the trailer was anything interesting. But in my head, I was kind of like, this is Sam Raimi. Something crazy has to happen. We got a few moments of craziness, but they didn't really end up to be anything of consequence in the movie ultimately. Most of my points just come from the acting, because the acting was very, very good. And the sequences that were really good were really good. The setting was cool. I actually like the whole idea of like kind of survival craft. If you're playing like any of these survival craft video games, you'll find this very interesting how you see it visually on the screen. But like other than that, the story's disappointing. Before we continue on and jump into spoilers, please like and subscribe if you like this video. And here we go, 3, 2, 1, spoiler warning.
The ending of the film. So basically, how the film progresses, and this is why we were kind of like, where is this going? He wants to leave. She likes being there. The concept and lore of her character is that she's by herself. She has no one. She's a pet parrot, and she's obsessed. She has this hyperfixation with the show Survivor. Like that's like a running funny gag throughout the entire film. Yeah. She's full like 10 out of 10 knowledge on survival instincts on like being stranded on an island. Meanwhile, he's just a rich preppy businessman who doesn't know anything.
Who has a leg wound, can't do shit.
Yeah, it was kind of like a more dramatized version of, in my opinion, Overboard, where it's like one's like the really rich, like, oh my god, do things for me, and the other one's more like hands-on rugged, but they like gender flipped it.
Yep.
And how the story goes is they start conflicting with each other in terms of legit trying to
kill each other.
Beep each other, yeah. You find out that the entire time they were on the island, they actually had a form of civilization because there was a rich billionaire who had his own VIP mansion on the island.
Yeah.
Epstein. And and he had like servants like dropping off food and things for him. So kind of as the film goes on, it's alluded that Rachel McAdams, a lot of her survival food and instinct and things like that, is that she's taking it from the guy's house. She gets like a knife, she gets like food, she gets like water, she gets things like that from the freaking house. That's like the twist, like I guess the Sam Raimi little twisteroonie at the end. It was still boring. Like it was.
They didn't do anything with it.
No,
they didn't do anything.
No.
Oh, they had a few. They had a confrontation in the house at the end, and they were using some weapons for like a whole 30 seconds, and then he. Okay, the Sam Raimi like quick zooms and the fucking like whip pans were really funny when they were there. But there's like maybe I could count on one hand the amount of times they did that in the movie. And there was the shot where she took the golf club and then hit his head, like fucking Joel Millered him from Last of Us. And then it just cuts to her swinging a golf club, and she's suddenly rich, and
she's like a rich,
and she's famous now because she survived alone. And then it just ends.
I don't know. It was very
They cut away from the violence a lot, and I didn't like that. The boar scene was fucking awesome. It was hilariously gory, and it was very funny. What were some other sequences? Oh, the sequence where she was pretending to cut his dick off and was actually just stabbing a rat. That was funny too.
There's a scene where they're actually fighting, trying to kill each other, and then she's strangling him, and then he's like sticks his thumb in her eye.
Yeah,
that was really gory and that was gross. But out of
like what 3-4 sequences,
genuinely, and then the actual plane crash thing. But even at that was very censored in my opinion.
I agree. Yeah. It was very Final Destination and not gory enough.
Yeah.
In Final Destination CGI, blood, guts, whatever, but still not gory enough. It was just like some guy's head was. It was all for comedy. But Final Destination Bloodlines last year balanced it extremely well, in my opinion, where it was both funny and gory. I was thinking about this in the car on the way back. I was like, wasn't my expectation that made me think it was going to be a better movie than it was? I wanted it to be a better movie. We saw the trailer, we saw what it was. I said to myself, there has to be more to it.
There was more to it, but it just was barely anything more. It was a couple crumbs more. It was a little bit more. I don't know, man. I feel like the ball was dropped a little bit on this movie.
I agree.
I would not watch it again, unfortunately. I will say though, there were little like quirks and little Sam Raimi Easter eggs that he did in the film. Dylan O'Brien, basically the reason why he is the boss is because his father passed away, who was like a CEO. And then in the background, it's actually just a giant portrait of Bruce Campbell. So Evil Dead.
I didn't even notice that.
I immediately noticed that double chin. And then there was the sequences of like the boar and like the kind of like the camera angles within the forest, like mimicking Evil Dead in the forest, which I really liked. Obviously, her name's Linda, which is a character from Evil Dead as well. There's also a couple Mean Girls references that I kind of caught on pretty quickly. A lot of songs that played in Mean Girls, and they were like specifically Rachel McAdams' favorite songs in the universe of this film. So
there's some meta humor.
Yeah, there was some meta humor and like a little like nostalgia bits and pieces that like pulled you into enjoying it, like milliseconds within the fucking whole thing. But besides that, I mean, I wouldn't want to be on an island with them. Would you want to be on an island with me?
When you ask me like that. In the end, make sure you get your palm leaves and your coconuts and you cut it in half and then put the palm leaf in the coconut and then it'll be a rain dish.
And then you take the lime and the coconut and drink it all up. Put the lime and the coconut. Woo, 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 woo. I'm Eli.
And I'm John.
And you were watching Screen Obscura. We just reversed that.
Yeah, we did.
Usually you do that part.
That's okay.
Send help.